Hello, my friends. Welcome back. We are looking at enhancing the card game war project from the WiByte Python curriculum available at www.wibyte.in. Previously, we saw how we could give a choice to our player. We could show the three cards of the stack to the player, and player could choose to play, let's say, the largest or the smallest card, whichever player wanted from as part of his or strategy. Now, that has made the game a little bit unfair because the computer does not have the same choice. But I think it's only fair that computers should also have this choice. We will see how we can do it in this project, in this video. In fact, the implementation is quite nice and not very hard either. So what we are going to do is that we will show our computer the top three cards of the stack and we'll allow the computer to pick up the largest of all of those. The steps we will follow, like I said, just like in the case of the player, the computer also picks up three cards. For example, zero compute card 0 to 3 to 1 because top three cards. We'll then write a function to return us the largest card from these three in terms of the value. We will make this the card that computer has chosen and play it. And just like in case of the player, we'll delete this card from the compute cards list because the computer has already played it. And apart from this, the game can go on as usual. So really, it comes down to just one thing: writing a function that returns us the largest card from a list of cards. Quite easy to do, quite nice in a way. So I'm going to write a function here, define a largest card. So P is going to be a list of cards because I'll pass this list to the function. I will do this by just basically saying, okay, look, let me go through every card in this list. And if this card is more than, let's say, the previous largest value, then this must be the largest card. And notice the way I'm figuring out the value is just indexing into the list cards and figuring out the first character, or say zeroth and the first character, because remember, zeroth character is a suit, first character is the value. So just like usual, we have done this before many times in this game. So I figure out if this largest card, I update this and I return the largest card. Now largest here is the value of the card in terms of the index, and largest card is what we are interested in right now. And that's what is, the card. Now, you might wonder, why do I initialize this to -1? The reason is that every card has value of 0 or more because index is always 0 or more, which means that the very first card here is going to override this. And if you think about it, as I run through this loop, the largest value will indeed be available. So this -1 just makes sure that the loop runs. It's a kind of standard programming trick. Now let's first build this function, test it, because good thing functions, like I said, can be tested independently. So I come in here and I, like I said, will create this function. Let's say just after this cleanup, we had done this cleanup for the speed war. So here I just say, well, def, let's say find, let's say largest, card in a list P. Now this P is a list that's coming in. So I just say find largest card by value. I think this should be a comment. Now I'm going to just define some variables here. So I say largest is, let's say, equal to -1. And I say fill for card in P. So I just basically go through every card and I ask myself, well, if cards dot index, remember cards is the list of all the cards. So cards dot index card, let's say 1. So I look at the second character as say 0 and 1, in that sense character number 1. If this is more than the largest, then I know I have picked up the large card. So here, if this is more than the largest, I just update the largest. So that way I'll ensure that, the value keeps getting updated. I always pick the largest one. So I just update this to, let's say, this. And, I can also create a new variable. Let's say largest card is equal to the card itself, because right now I'm interested in the card. That's what I'll do. Later on, we might just be interested in the largest. We'll see this later. But once I do this, so this for loop runs, gets over, I can return, for example, the largest card. Now we will first test only this function, and that's the good thing with functions. We don't have to run the entire code. So I come in here and I just say, okay, look. So I just stop the code for now, and I, let's say, want to test this code. Find largest card. Remember, the input has to be a list. So for example, let's say I give it, a list. Let's say H, say 2, C8. Let's say. and say another item here, maybe SX, let's say. So obviously SX is the largest card. I expect that to be returned. Okay, so there's a mistake I made because this has to be list. I did not have those closing brackets. Once I do this, remember, the largest card is to be returned and I do get SX. So which means that this function is working correctly. We can take one more example. Let's say I tried CA. This time around CA is written because that's the ace of clubs. Ace is the largest card here. Now, let's say I had two cards of the same value. Doesn't really matter. The first one will be returned because remember this condition here is if index is larger than the largest. So first time largest, I get the largest, the second one not returned, but doesn't really matter because these two have in fact the same value. Now once this is in place, very simple in fact, all I'll do is that I'll go and comment out, let's say, this part, and I say, well, let me find the largest card. So card C here is, let's say, find, uh, say largest card, compute cards, and I just slice this to say 0, 3, 1. So basically 0, 1 and 2, the top three cards, and I must remove this from the compute cards just like I had done previously for the player card. So I just go and say, look, compute cards dot, let's say, remove, say card C. Now our game is fair. Both parties can choose the largest card. Computer will always choose the largest card, but player can have a choice, right? So let's say I'll do this. All right, so it tells me select a card from these three. Let's say I choose CK because that's my best bet. Computer also picked up a SK because presumably computer is always picking the largest card. A war begins. Let's see what happens here. Again, I get a choice. My cards are not that great, but I will try to win the war anyway. So I'll say, well, C7. That looks like the best bet. Computer's best card was C9. So computer wins this, no problem. I get a choice to choose between C5, D5, and SQ. So of course, I'll choose SQ. I want to maximize my chances. This time I won. So I can go ahead. Again, I get a choice between SA. I will choose SA for sure. And I win again. This is interesting. This is fun because there's a little bit of strategy involved, and both are now kind of fair because computer is also choosing and I'm also choosing. Later on we'll make this choice even more elaborate. We will make this the rules even more let's say involved, but this is a very good start. I hope you found this interesting. In general, if you think this way of learning programming where we build activities, we enhance them, we think through how ideas are implemented, if this is something that appeals to you, look at our website www.wibyte.in. You will find many, many, many such activities. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye bye.